All right, take a seat. We got work to do. I'm a guy who always brings my timer when I travel. When I travel with my partner Kara, she's always hand signaling me, but I can't count on my man Gregory to keep time well. And I've got some friends from Monument that actually came up as well. And they're bright, but not that bright. So I got to use my timer, and I want to leave some time afterwards so that Gregory and I can answer a few questions. And so, Gail, thanks for the great communication, and it's so fun. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Wholly Kicks here in a second, but I love going to any church that's already hooking us up with new kicks, because in the months to come, those kicks that you went to work or you are taking your amazing pay from your retirement or wherever you're getting your cash from, wherever you're putting your mind and your heart, your feet and your hands to get some income, how you get on Amazon or you go to the store and buy some new shoes, then those will somehow get into my hands, and some people will come to our storage. Maybe even on a Tuesday when I've got guys with disabilities who come, all whose brains work differently, and prep those shoes. And then in the weeks and months to come, then I'll take a team. Maybe some of you will come and join me because you'll be so dazzled by what I have to say to you in the months and in your head. And we'll be out in the community putting those shoes on the feet of people experiencing homelessness and economic disparity. And just yesterday, we put 100 pairs of shoes on kids at a school called Columbia Middle School in Aurora. Just amazing diversity, a little more diverse than this part of town, my side of town on the other side there. You guys will see some pictures of all kinds of things. We love when we can help children learn how to walk. Our shoes help children walk. That's how good we are. That kid was taking some first steps there. And I've got some pictures here which are way more interesting than my words, but keep an eye on those as well. Last Thursday, we were at a school called Eagleton Elementary School. You guys might know about Eagleton. It was one of the schools DPS was going to shut down because it was small and a school that parents don't have a lot of power, lots of refugees in that school. It looks like they're going to at least stay open for a little bit of time, but we provided 95% of the children there on free or reduced lunch. And we provided 220 kicks to children there. And then on Thursday, Gregory and I, just one of our other buddies, we're going to be at a shelter, a safe space shelter that's one of Salvation Army runs over on Peoria and I-70. And we'll provide about 50 pairs of kicks there for people that are living for about a month in some temporary shelter behind the Salvation Army. They're really just kind of a fancy box that you get to, but better than the cold right now. If you want to get a sense of how difficult it is to live unhoused, just walk to your car after worship and make that noise that you make when you feel cold and your heat's not getting hot fast enough. Just settle into that a little bit to imagine what it would be like if you were trying to tent it last night, or worse, like on our block where me and Gregory hang out, many of our friends we don't have tent folks experiencing homelessness. We have blanket wearers where we hang out. And so we do a lot of important things in the community of mentoring folks about homelessness, about loving people right where they're at, about literally walking with people in life to just take a little burden of the struggle and give people really what they need. I just love that those words from Micah today, which are really kind of much of what Wholly Kicks is based on, about doing justice, loving kindness or mercy, and walking humbly with God. I'm going to just tell you a little bit quick about how Wholly Kicks started. I just quit. I just threw in the towel of being a Lutheran pastor just a couple weeks ago. 32 years I've been an ELCA pastor. 32 years in which I hate titles. No one's ever called me pastor. I can't stand titles. It just makes my skin crawl. I don't own an alb or a stole. This is my daily uniform. Even when I was really in the parish, if I put on a fancy shirt, it felt like a miracle. The things inside the church have always never quite fit with me. And I lived in Monument. I don't know if you guys ever been to Monument. It's the least diverse place in America. My church was full of colonels and jet fighter pilots. If you think flying a jet is hard to do, it's really not. Everyone in my church did it. right? Absolutely everyone did it. Like I always just think it was so funny. It's impossible to become a lieutenant colonel, and yet my church was full of them, And it was so undiverse. My friend Diane was here. Diane's multiculturalness was our only multicultural person in my church. So Diane, thank you for traveling with me today. I do appreciate that. So Diane's parents were Japanese. But I had a really healthy church and a great staff, and I was there for a long time, and we did great work. And despite all my things of churchy things, I've spent a lifetime yelling at people to leave the church building and go love their neighbor, to literally do that. How do we do justice? How do we show mercy? How do we actually be humble in the world to make a difference? And what I found is that all my years of yelling as a young man, I didn't do much. And so I decided many years ago, it's probably close to 15 years now, I decided that if I wanted to move my congregation to another place, I had to change my own life. And so that's what I did. So what I started doing was figuring out a way to bring people alongside of me to do the things that I did in the world and just start living a little more of a missional life. And so I'd spent lots of years hanging out with people that were experiencing homelessness and things like that. And I started figuring out ways to bring people along with me to do those things. Right? I felt I was pretty good at that stuff alone. I had lots of stories of, picking up people in my truck and hanging out with people in the park and being at motels, but I wasn't training anybody to do what I did. And so what I started doing was just change my life around a little bit and start to develop some different missional things. And instead of just going to the park and hanging out with folks in the park that were living outdoors, I started bringing people along with me to do that. My friends Paul and Dan were part of that mission. What I found is back in the day when I met folks like Gregory, I met Gregory, he's living on the block originally, I just had stories of meeting people like that. And so I changed some things around. And what I really wanted, though, to do was to kind of figure out a way to live full time and just kind of live a life on the street to do that. But I had been married for a long time, and my wife, Shelly, got tired of my truck always smelling like weed and cigarette smokes and all the things of my friends and all the stories that seemed dangerous to a lot of people. And my wife got super sick. She got super sick, and she died. And in the midst of Shelly's death, the crazy thing was about her death is that death always brings resurrection. You guys heard some of those stories before? Been in the church long enough to hear that death always brings resurrection. And Shelly's death kind of gave me this crazy gift to go live out this new calling. And so I decided to move to North Aurora, and I was 4 years ago, a little more than 4 years ago, in the most diverse place in Colorado. And I met a guy before I even moved up there. His name was Rodney. He was wearing a bow tie. And he was a guy from the block, for sure. He wasn't housed. And Rodney came back. He'd walking down an alley. He came back to hunt me down. He'd say, "What are you doing here?" Not a lot of guys looked like me on that block. And I said, "Hey, man, I'm just planning on moving to the neighborhood, And he's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I'm just going to come here and try to love my neighbor." And this is what he says to me. He said, "I always wanted to walk in the shoes that Jesus walked in. But I suppose you can only walk in the shoes that God gives you." I always wanted to walk in the shoes that Jesus walked in, but I suppose you can only walk in the shoes that God gives you. And in that moment, literally, I'm kind of a vision kind of guy. In that moment, I thought, I'm going to start a shoe nonprofit, which was a horrible idea because it's an immense amount of work. And I'd been the president of some nonprofit boards before, but I always think it's a bad idea to start something that someone else can do. That was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. By 7:30 the next morning, I had made a business license with the state of Colorado for a nonprofit called Wholly Kicks, which had never been an idea ever before in my life. And so I started kind of pressing into this nonprofit life. The ELCA had already come alongside of me to say, "Tyg, we'll throw a few bucks at you to work on the street." And I got a job running a shower trailer with a company and a nonprofit. But my heart was really to go all in with Wholly Kicks. And I just had all these other distractions and I couldn't really quite get in full time. And so 2 years ago, I quit my other things and made even worse living and went all in with Wholly Kicks, which has led us to today. And so this week, on Thursday, we hit 10,000 brand new pairs of shoes that we've given to people. And what's cool about that, friends, is the new shoes that we give out, we don't just drop them off and say, good luck. We literally, if Ginger was to come to an event and a new pair of kicks was helpful to her, literally, my man Gregory might be down on his knees, which is a thing to watch, I will tell you. Gregory would be down on his knees, putting a pair of shoes on Ginger's feet for her, lacing them up, untying her. She selects the shoes where she goes. So we're a nonprofit that works on the same side of the table of people. So if you ever come to a Wholly Kicks event, we don't have a separation between us. We're literally shoulder to shoulder with you, helping you choose the pair of kicks from the appropriate size bin that you want. And we get down on our knees to help you select your pair of shoes. And the cool thing about that, friends, is what we find is that everybody has someone in life walking with them. And everybody has somebody that we're walking with. Right? It's really all discipleship is about. It's about just snuggling up next to somebody and journeying life with them to ease the burden of what's going on in this world, right? It's like Gail calls me, I'm a needy nonprofit guy. I got my hands wide open today. If you want to get online and make a donation to Wholly Kicks, I say yes. My hands are wide open. But the way that happens is that Gail just knows me from way back in the day when I used to know her husband down in Pueblo 1,000 years ago, when we were horrible young pastors and didn't know what we were doing, and we're just horrible old pastors now. And Gail just says, hey, Tyg, I'm on the other side of town. You want to come over and tell your story a little bit? And we got some folks here that know how to get new shoes, and do what you do, and I'll do what I do. And you see what happens when we're each doing what we do. That's what doing justice means. To take what God has put in us and to start to replicate that we do justice with each other. And the justice that each of us have to do, it doesn't have to be your justice. We just do the one that we're called to. I just happen to be really good at talking to people that have face tats. That's my gift. If you're super high, drunk, smoke crack, prostitute, I'm your guy. I'm totally down with that. But you don't have to do what I do. You do what you do, right? You do the kindness that only you can do, right? I'm bad in the church setting. All I do is irritate people. I'm best outdoors with my quiet voice, right? And here's the deal. So 4 years ago, I meet Gregory. He rolls up to me. He's riding a bike cruiser, running my shower trailer. He's got a hat on because he always looks cool. And I didn't know this cat. I knew a lot of guys on the block. And he rides up to me and says, hey, what are you doing in the hood, my man? And you know what he did? In that moment, he just gave me permission to do what I did. And I run into him a few weeks later. He checks in on me. And I was just kind of mesmerized because he's riding a cruiser in the hood, which is not normal. And he starts to see something in me that says he thinks that maybe I've got a little something that other people don't have that worked on the block before. So he puts me under his wing, a guy who's been incarcerated many times, and he takes me and he starts to love on me to say, Tiger, I'm going to give you some clout in the hood. And I had a lot of guys that did it, but of all of them, my man here's the best at it. Because he loves me just as I am. All my whitey Lutheranness, right? And then Gregory and I over the years, started changing the world together. Just traveling around, doing what we do, introducing each other to different places, right? That's what it always means to be walking with somebody, right? That's what it always means to be walking with somebody. And the way that we replicate that is when we open our lives, right, up to let ourselves in. That's what the whole point of the Beatitudes, where Jesus says, I'm telling you, people are blessed that you don't think are blessed. The people that are mourning, the people that are hungry, people that are meek, people that are poor. And Jesus says, so we pay attention to the world around us and start to open up our lives to say, I think you have some value and worth that other people don't see. I'm going to come alongside of you. That's really all Wholly Kicks does. So when we put a pair of shoes on maybe a toddler, sometimes maybe a grandma brings her little ones. Like it feels glorious. We love toddlers and it's super fun to be with a 3-year-old. But our goal is to walk with that grandma to make her a rock star. It's not about that toddler. It's that grandma had a chance to put new pairs of shoes on her little ones. That's just, maybe 50 more bucks she has in her pocket to pay her rent, to pay her unbelievable gas bill that we have this month, right? When we meet folks this week that are living outside at this Salvation Army, we don't know their story. It's going to be full of trauma. If you're homeless, it's not because you made bad financial decisions. It's because there's massive trauma in your life that landed you in that situation. And all we do is just come alongside of people to say, hey, maybe this eases the burden for you that moment. And maybe you can walk through your day labor a little easier. Maybe you can fix that side of your kicks that are blowing out. Maybe you don't necessarily need a new pair of kicks, but we give you one anyways. And you know what those kicks can be used for? Street money. Some of our shoes on the street don't stay on people's feet. It's a way for our friends to say, hey, can I have this pair? Like, yeah, I don't know what happens to them afterwards, but guess what? Somebody gets those new kicks, and maybe they get what they need for the day. That's mercy. That's mercy. Okay, I'm going to kind of leave it at that. There's just some things. I got 1,000 stories. I could go all day long. But Gregory, come on up, and we're going to just kind of chat up here together at this moment, because that's what Gail wanted us to do. Now, this is dramatic. Now you show them how smoothly you are moving, my man. So, Gregory, we've got a number of friends who help us on the street. Gregory just happens to be my main sidekick, and he's super good chatting with folks as well, too. So, so we'll just answer a few questions you guys got about Holy Kicks or street life or...
Karin will come around with the microphone if you have a question for them. We'd love to hear it. One of my favorite pictures from... he posts on Facebook, I do social media, was the little guy who wore his red suit, red tuxedo, to get his red kicks. Yeah. On a Saturday, he dressed up in his finest outfit and came. I saved that picture and sent it to all my kids and said, look at what this cool ministry is. Yeah. So thank you for doing this. Questions for them? Oh, come on.
Shoes too? No used shoes.
One thing was different about us is we can't provide to give Nikes or nothing like that. Okay.
Right here.
Yeah. Well, we usually don't give a pair of Nikes like anything like that, but the shoes we do give are brand new, never been on your brother's foot.
Yeah, and there's lots of nonprofits that do use shoes. Just on a little angle, brand new feels just so much more glorious.
There's a picture of everybody wearing Santa hats. What was that from or about?
Oh, Santa, go ahead.
Yeah, we just recently did December 10th, we just did a Santa in the Park, the 3rd annual Santa in the Park. And I was Santa. And we gave away 744 pairs of shoes in less than an hour, and Aurora PD sponsored us.
Yeah, our first Santa in the Park, guys, 3 years ago, we had a good buddy of ours named Sonny, who's pretty well known on the block for sure. And Sonny one day, we actually were in my truck with another friend of ours, who, a lot of our friends have so much trauma. It's a life you can't believe. The same friend that was in my car last week stabbed his wife 4 times. And I would like to say that things like that are really unusual, but those things happen often due to addiction and other issues. But that same guy that was stabbed his wife this week and is in prison now, he's going to be in jail for a while. You're not supposed to stab people if you didn't know. And our friend Sonny said, hey, I bought a Santa suit at ARC. This is in October. He said, I bought a Santa suit at ARC. We're going to the park. I'm like, this was 2 years ago. We didn't have that kind of inventory then. I said, dude, that is not going to happen. He's like, we're doing it. And we went, and we gave away 300 pairs of kicks that day on an 18-degree day. And then our friend Sonny died. Santa died because of the life. And he was housed, but at 38, life just caught up to him. Lots of our friends. My phone is full of pictures of friends on the street that have died. All my friends in Colorado Springs are dead that I used to hang out with. The trauma eventually catches up to you, for sure. But yes, Gregory luckily stepped up to the plate after our boy Sonny died, and he's our new Santa. And you can't die is the moral of this story, Gregory. Yeah, absolutely. I love resurrection, but not that much, I'll tell you. So, yeah, we've done just great impact. Having community partners. You know, the most hated police department in America, Aurora PD, actually comes out and does great things with us, and that's why we believe everybody's a whole person. You know, it doesn't matter what your past is. You got a chance for redemption today, and we believe everybody deserves somebody to walk with them. The only way we get healthy and redeemed is when, you know, people come along our side. Like, that's why we say the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Like, redemption comes when people say, okay, I don't know why that happened. I don't know why our buddy stabbed his wife. I got guesses. But we're going to have, you know, when we see him again, we're going to have a choice about how we want to treat him, how we want to love him, you know, how we can keep him from stabbing again, you know.
When you talk about the hood, what's the parameters?
Well,
I mean-
for us, we like from Colfax and Chambers down to, let's see, about Quebec and Colfax. And mainly that's our area that we're in usually. Okay.
How do you translate from what you're saying to a pair of shoes? How does it get there? I mean, you're telling us.
Yeah. Yeah, so the way that it works, I mean, there's definitely a process, right? So, you know, we are a 501c3. So we're a non-religious organization. That way I can get money from Amazon and churches. Are you a Christian? Yes. Are you secular? Of course I am. Like, you know, like I'm willing to go. I've got no morals or boundaries. Like I want to help people in the world. That's that place of loving mercy for me, right? So the way that it works is that we either receive donations that we buy new kicks with for well under a $20 price point. We have two people that kind of buy for us. I'm really the only employee of Wholly Kicks. It's thousands of volunteers, it seems like. Literally hundreds. And so we either buy new shoes on, sometimes online, sometimes in stores. We also have places that do shoe donations to us that will do shoe drives. So coming up, Fox 31, I got a big pitch with them coming up. Denver Metro Brokers, get your mortgage from Denver Metro Brokers, are pitching for us to Fox 31, who's going to come alongside of us and do some good pitches here, I hope, in the months to come. So sometimes we'll get new shoes, then we bring them to our storage unit. Over in Central Park. We have two big storage units there where we keep kids in one and adults in one. Groups come in, anywhere from a few folks to maybe 30 folks at a time will come in and prep new shoes. So it takes a couple hours where we take off tags, we write sizes on the bottom of shoes, we put a colored clip on them to identify 5 different categories of kicks. And we keep those in bins that are different sizes. And then, so this afternoon in the 0 degree, I'm trying to make it sound super dramatic, bro. Gregory and I got to go unload the trailer from yesterday. And so we'll unload that trailer back at storage because I keep my trailer, unfortunately, in a dicey spot that I can afford. We just got this constant pattern of unloading, prepping, shoes in and shoes out. And then when we go to an event, literally, if we do an event with toddlers to adults, we'll have about 50 size bins of different size kicks for folks. And you literally go and choose. If you wear men's 14s, you go to a bin full of men's 14s and you pick out the kicks that you want. And if you're unhappy with them, we'll do our best to make you happy. And sometimes we say, sorry, bro, we don't have those. But you're welcome to these if that feels helpful to you. So we try to often just use helpful language. Our new pair of kicks helpful? Then we'll hook you up. If not, that's cool. If we don't have what you want.
I have 2 questions. You mentioned that you collaborate with Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to buy through Amazon, could we get some kind of a discount because we're buying for you?
Yeah, we do Amazon Smile, which unfortunately maybe some of you saw a notice they're going to eliminate that in this year. Amazon has been a partner for us. I've received twice $5,000 from Amazon before. Wholly Kicks is an Amazon payee now. They send us checks, which is kind of cool. But I'm hoping next year to even up that with the local Amazon here. So we don't get any discount. Unfortunately, Amazon is one of the harder places to buy inexpensive shoes from, you can actually go to individual websites and do better usually. So if you went to actually like Vans or Converse, you can kind of find better deals hidden way down below. Amazon just doesn't sell decent, inexpensive shoes, which is really kind of crazy.
My other question is, where do we go to contact you if we are interested in volunteering?
Yeah, so just really directly hit me up. You can encourage you to follow us on Facebook or Instagram. I post a little bit on LinkedIn, not well. I just don't get the traction from that. But through our website, wholykicks.org, you can always message me through that. My personal phone number is on there as well. Everyone who's homeless in North Aurora has my phone number, and important business executives as well. So just hit me up there if you ever want to come out to an event. And then what I do is just kind of contact people individually to say, hey, this is an event we need so many folks at. And you can talk to me afterwards. I'll put your phone number down, and you seem like a decent enough woman. We might want your skill set, you know. So, yeah. So it's really, at any given event, like sometimes when we do stuff in the street, we want a certain experience there. So I'm careful about how many people I bring. But when we go to a school or a larger event, maybe a women's shelter or something like that, we'll often bring quite a good-sized crowd with us because we like one-on-one attention. So when you get a pair of kicks, we're really loving on you one-on-one. We don't want anybody digging through a bin without any support ever. If we are on the street, we're cool about that because some of our friends don't like us messing with their business.
What I think I hear you saying is that if we make a donation to you, then you can get the shoes that you need if your bins are down in one size or you need red or something for kid. Then you have that ability to get that and fill in where your needs are.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got kind of two main people. So my one gal, Lindsay, who lives down in Palmer Lake, when Lindsay buys, if I can say, hey, Lindsay, we're almost out of smaller size girls 13s, she goes after that. And usually with a victory of like, nailed it. I got 100 pairs of kicks for $8 or something. Like, how? You know, so when Lindsay came alongside of us a year ago, she was like, oh, that's your price point? I'm going to win. Yeah, she thought it was competition, you know, so she's so great. So absolutely, yeah, if you donate through our website or if you ever want to just send a check to Wholly Kicks, my address is on there for that as well. If you donate on the website, you get an automatic response back or one at the end of the year as well with your donation. If you donate via check to me, you send something to Wholly Kicks via our P.O. box, and I write you a personal receipt for that. And and so we're, my goal hopefully in the coming years to maybe try to hire a volunteer coordinator that we can kind of beef up the process a little bit. So, yep. Gregory, final word. Nikhil's taking our mic from us.
Well, I want to say too that with the Mardi Gras coming up, half of the proceeds from that is going to church camp. The other half's going to Wholly Kicks. So, yes, yeah. So, thank you both so very much for coming and sharing your story. And they will be around afterwards with the coffee and snacks, and so you can ask more questions and hear more stories. And they all know this. Our youngest daughter works with those experiencing homelessness in Seattle. She runs a hygiene facility that provides laundry and showers. So when I hear her stories of losing friends and clients on the street and what they go through, it is the trauma. And my heart goes with both of you. Can we pray for you? Let's pray. Loving and gracious God, we give you thanks, Lord, for this incredible street ministry, for Tyg, for Gregory, for all the ones who are out there kneeling down. What a vision. Kneeling down and putting their shoes on the feet that need them the most. Be with them, Lord. Be with all of us as we continue to find our calling and do justice where you lead us to do justice. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. I invite you. Go ahead.